You've probably already heard about The Secret by Rhonda Byrne or watched the documentary by that same name. And if you're familiar with law of attraction and how to attract money into your life, it is a really helpful tool that you can use as you build a wealth mindset. So today we're going to go through a really practical and fun exercise that Rhonda teaches in one of her books. It's called The Magic. I have it right here. Yes. This one is probably my favorite book by Rhonda Byrne. It is in the Secret series, and it's just such a good book. And so if you're interested in learning more about law of attraction and specifically a really specific exercise you can use, we're going to go through that today in this video together, so keep watching. Hello, I'm Sarah Edens. I'm a finance coach, author, and wealth mindset researcher. And here on my channel, we talk about finance skills and we talk about developing a wealth mindset, because when you put those two together, it helps you unlock your inner millionaire and be able to improve your financial situation no matter where you're starting from. And so that is what my channel is all about. And I want to say a big welcome back to all my subscribers. Thank you for being here and for being part of our community. And welcome to my new subscribers. We had a bunch of new subscribers this week. And I am so grateful for all of you and your wonderful, lovely comments and for interacting with my channel and being part of our community here. So a very heartfelt thank you from me. All right, so let's get into today's topic, which is a really fun exercise. So like I said, this is a great book if you're interested in using the law of attraction and working with the law of attraction to work on your wealth mindset and to work on bringing more money into your life and changing the way that you think about money. So this is a 28-day gratitude exercise book, and it's a workbook. It's got daily homework. And I felt like of this, really, I need to go back through and do this again. I feel like I could just do this every month on repeat because it's so valuable. Guys, this will help you so much, not just with your finances, but this will help you with your health. This will help you with your relationships. I just feel like what she teaches is so powerful from a mindset perspective. And a lot of times our minds tend to focus on the negative. We all tend to have a negativity bias where we tend to focus on the negative things or worry a lot about negative things. And of course, social media doesn't help make this any easier. You know, the news is always publishing horror stories about the worst case scenario that happened to somebody somewhere in the world. They don't really talk about the good things that happen. So we really do have to be intentional about training our brains to focus on the positive and focus on possibilities and creative solutions. And so I feel like that's something that she does really well. And I'm not affiliated with this brand or sponsored by this. It's just something I found really helpful. But anyway, this is a really good book. And while I'm thinking about that too, this is another one. This is called The Secret to Love, Health, and Money. I will put the links to both of these in the description box below. Also in the Secret series, she has a whole bunch of books in that series, and I'm reading through the rest of them. But this is The Secret to Love, Health, and Money, a masterclass. And this one is really helpful as well. I felt like she really got into some good details on how law of attraction works around finance in particular, with more specifics than she did in The Secret. And so check this one out as well if you're into law of attraction practice, because you may enjoy that. But I felt like that was a great book too. I think I had like every other page underlined from going through this last time I read it. But the exercise that I wanted to talk about today is this right here. So I don't know if the camera is going to focus on this, but I will link to this in the description as well. So this is the secret check. And so this is a super fun exercise that I did 3 years ago, right in the middle of it was at the beginning of the pandemic. And for me, it was a very, very stressful time, as it was for most of the rest of the world. And so I picked up The Magic and I started working through it because I felt like I just needed something to help my brain focus on something better than all the scary stuff that was happening at the time. And so she had mentioned in the book, one of the exercises is this little blank check, and it's just a pretend check. It's not a real check, obviously, but one of the exercises is to print off the check And then it has a space where you can write it out to yourself, and this says Bank of the Universe on it, so it's just a fun exercise. You put your name in, you fill in whatever amount of money you want to visualize having come into your life, and then you display that prominently. And I've got the whole directions on exactly what you're supposed to do because I wanted to share this with you. So Rhonda says, once you've filled in the details of the magic check, hold the check in your hands. And I actually this was my original check that I filled out, and I found this when I was cleaning the office the other day, which got me thinking about this. But anyway, Rhonda says, once you've filled in the details of the magic check, hold the check in your hands and think about the specific thing you want the money for. I feel like that's really key because a lot of times we say, oh, I want to be rich, but we're not like, what's rich to me? Like, how much money do I need to feel rich? Because I think for everyone, it's a different amount based on our lifestyle, the things that we want for ourselves, our living expenses. It's, rich is going to look different to each person. Get a picture in your mind and visualize yourself actually using the money to get the very thing you want. And put as much excitement and gratitude as you can into it. And that's something she emphasizes over and over again. And I think that's the core of what's been so impactful with The Secret and that whole series from the entire time it was published back in, I think, 07, 08 during the big financial downturn that we had there, when so many people were going through financial hardship at that time as well. So I feel like it's really relevant now too. But she just has such an emphasis on gratitude. And I know she gets kind of knocked by people as being, too woo or whatever, but I feel like they haven't really read her books that much if they're knocking her, because if you really want to improve your life, gratitude is such a key component to that. It's very hard to improve any aspect of your life whatsoever if you're feeling doing a lot of complaining, or you're feeling very bitter, or you're focused on everything that's wrong with your life, or you're feeling jealous of other people. So just such a great book. Anyway, to get back to the directions on how to use this little guy. So when you have received the money on your check, or you received the item you wanted to spend the money on, so either or, right? Like whatever the amount, or if you have something you're saving for specifically, then replace the check with a new amount for something else you want. And so then you can just print it off again. I'll put the link in the description to this so you can print it off. And so that's kind of a fun exercise. So anyway, like I said, I filled mine out. This was a bigger format back then apparently, but I filled it out. And when I was thinking about it, I was like, okay, how much money do I need or would I like to attract? And so for me, that was a nice big number. I was at $100,000 on my check. So I just wrote $100,000. I was like, what's the date on this? July 16th, 2020. So almost exactly 3 years ago. And then I put it up on my dressing table so I could see it every morning when I was doing my makeup. And I was really trying all the stuff she said, like think about gratitude and be grateful for the money. Think about what you're going to use it for. So I was like, okay, I'd love to use that money to help pay our mortgage down a little bit more. I'd love to buy a little bit more comfortable furniture for ourselves, because we had just moved into a new home and needed a few pieces of furniture, but I was holding off on buying them. I'm really careful about how I spend my money, so I tend to not spend even when I probably should, or when I've got the money for it. I'm just one of those people. But anyway, and I was like, okay, those would be really fun things to be able to just accomplish, and so that's what I would use that money for. And so then basically I just did that exercise every day, looked at the check, thought about what I was going to attract into my life. And maybe I wasn't doing it right, but I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and nothing happened. I did not have some amazing check fall into my lap, and I did not have a brand new furniture delivered to my door, and I did not have a generous benefactor pay down $100,000 on my mortgage. So it wasn't like this turned into actual money for me. So I do want to emphasize, this is a fake check. It's not going to actually end up with money deposited into your bank account per se. I mean, I have heard from some people that have talked about this in the reviews on this series and on the documentary and using it, that they did this exercise and they actually had money come to them. But I would kind of chalk that up more to coincidence, because, or, you know, you don't want to count on coincidences to build your financial life and build your wealth, right? And so definitely don't count on this bringing you money. If it does, wonderful. But what I felt like it was really helpful for was, this was a mindset shifter for me, like a game-changing mindset shifter about how I thought about money. Because for me personally, I'll be perfectly honest with you, I've never made very much money in my life. I went to college, I got a liberal arts degree, and then I wasn't really thinking, I was planning to be an elementary school teacher at the time. And so for me, you know, having a degree that was going to get me into an industry that was going to make a lot of money just never registered with me at all. I know I had been I did some summer internships when I was in college with other teachers at summer camps at schools and things. And the other teachers would complain about, oh my goodness, like the pay is so bad for teachers, which they are totally within their rights to talk about that, because teachers need to be paid better for sure. The pay for teachers is abysmal. But anyway, I was hearing this, but it was like, oh, okay, money. You know, I was in my mid-20s. It's like early 20s. Who needs money? Who cares about money? You know, you're not focused on any of that stuff in your early 20s. And so I just didn't think about that. So anyway, I ended up, long story short, I won't go into it right now. I ended up not going on to get my master's, and so then I wasn't doing teaching, and so I just ended up working customer service for an insurance company, which was totally a career move that I was not planning on and not anticipating, and kind of found myself sitting there going, what am I doing? And I found out that for the skill sets I had, even though I had a 4-year college degree, I wasn't going to be banking it, making, you know, money in the jobs that were hiring at the time. And bear in mind too, this was 2007, 2008, so nothing was hiring, because I was lucky to have a job at all. But that just wasn't on my radar. And so at the time for me, I've just never earned very much in any of my jobs. And I'm fortunate enough that my husband has a good job that pays the bills. And so I have definitely worked a lot of different things over the course of my life, but I've never made $100,000 in a year or anything close to it. So for me, just having that chance to think about, what if I could make $100,000? Wouldn't that be cool? Like, that was sort of a revolutionary idea to me. I was like, wow, that would be awesome. I've not really trained to make that much money, and I've never thought about making that much money, but what kind of career fields would I maybe work in that could? And so I started researching different industries than I trained in, because I trained in college in history and in Spanish. And so I was like, okay, what industries could I make $100,000 in a year or something similar? So I looked at a whole bunch of different industries like marketing. I looked into finance, which is how I ended up here doing what I'm doing now. I bought books on different career paths. And at the time when I was reading The Magic back in 2020, I had started it was a concierge relocation consulting company, and I had started it. It had been going for like 2 years. I hadn't been getting a lot of traction with it. And then of course, when the pandemic hit and everyone stopped moving around, it just tanked. Like, that business was not going anywhere. And I hadn't really been enjoying it that much anyway. And so I thought, oh, okay, maybe this is a good opportunity as any to just shut this down, because I thought, you know, I don't think I'm going to be making the income I want to make doing relocation consulting, especially because I launched my beautiful business and my amazing LLC, and I did all the things. And the phone, I had my phone, and it just sat there and didn't ring and didn't ring and didn't ring for like 2 years. And I was like, you know, this is a waste of time. This is not going anywhere. I learned a lot of great business skills, but the business itself was not going to make me money. And so as I pondered, how can I bring in more money for myself and my family? Then I was like, okay, time to close this business down. So that gave me the courage and the confidence to close that business. Because I'll tell you, if you're an entrepreneur, you know exactly how hard it is to admit defeat. that maybe something just wasn't, maybe it was too niche, or you weren't really that interested in it, or it's not making you the money you need it to be making. But it's really hard to kind of admit defeat and say, well, it's time to close this down and move on to something else. That's really hard. I feel like that takes a lot of courage to be able to do that. So I closed that company down, started researching other career fields, and then that led me to going to take some classes in personal finance over at Indiana University Kelley School of Business. And so I got certifications in personal finance from them through edX, and that took about a year to get all of that coursework done. And then once I got that done, then that's when I started my finance coaching business, and then I got started on Instagram, and then just a couple of months ago I started on YouTube. And so that's kind of my story about where, this check that I started with 3 years ago really got me moving in that direction, and kind of got me unstuck from a situation that was frustrating with my relocation company I had. It was frustrating. It wasn't making me any money. It wasn't really the industry I wanted to be in. And what I've realized as I've gotten over into finance coaching in particular is it lets me teach, which is what I wanted to do the whole time. Like ever since I can remember, I've wanted to teach. And so I'm so thrilled to be able to finally have that opportunity to be doing what I love doing, and in an area that many people find extremely stressful, frustrating, challenging. And so my hope here is that I can make it fun for you to learn about personal finance, and entertaining, engaging, and talk about a lot of different things across the spectrum, not just money, but also all these wealth mindset things that books like the Secret series are really helpful with as well. So that's my little story about how that check worked for me. The other thing that it did is that it really helped me change the way I was thinking about myself, because I think I'm someone who's struggled with a lot of personal insecurity. I won't go into all of this, but a lot of personal insecurity and low self-worth. And it's something I've struggled with for most of my adult life. And so it really changed the way I was thinking about myself, because I thought, what if I was making $100,000? I'd be really proud of myself, and I'd be able to, do some of the things that I want to do with my life, or I'd have some more options than I have right now. I'm grateful for my husband and his wonderful job, so no complaining, but it would just open up some of the options that I have in my life beyond what I was making when I used to work in retail or work in a call center setting with insurance, or when I used to work in a call center setting for banking, which was ultra stressful. And so just changing the way I was thinking about myself, like how much, not that you want to put a dollar amount on your worth as a person, because I think that gets a little dangerous, but just thinking about yourself as being worth having money in your life, that you deserve that, you deserve to earn good money, you deserve to make good money, no matter how you make it, whether it's working for someone else, working for yourself, regardless, that you deserve to have a good income that helps you live the life you want to live. And $100,000 was just my starting point. You'll notice now that my channel, trailer is Unlock Your Inner Millionaire, right? So I've kind of moved on from there. I think some of the work I've done around studying inflation has kind of led me to conclude too that, $100,000 is nice, but $1 million is really nice, because everything just keeps costing more with inflation. And so it's just a really fun kind of personal growth experience that I've had with working with this check. And I probably should, now I've got a blank one printed out for this exercise, I probably should fill this out again and get this attracting something else, and get this brainstorming some other good ideas. So I may have to do that this afternoon when I'm done filming this video, is go and fill that out. So I hope this is a fun exercise for you as well, and that this has been helpful and informative for you, and just gives you some ideas about brainstorming, kind of rethinking how much are you worth, how much should you be earning. I think a lot of people, especially if you're a woman, a lot of women have just been chronically underpaid, no matter how much, no matter what industry you're in. So maybe this could even give you courage to ask for a raise at work, or if you're a business owner, think about ways that you can grow your business. Whatever the case may be. And if for some reason, by coincidence, you do this work and you actually get money starting to show up in your life, let me know, It's entirely possible I'm doing this completely wrong. But like I said, to my knowledge, the only way money is going to sort of like miraculously appear in your life is if you're playing the lottery. And even then, you have to go out and buy lottery tickets, which I highly do not recommend that you do. Not only because gambling can be a devastating addiction that ruins families. I saw that when I was working in banking. It can just absolutely ruin your relationships because of the addictive nature of gambling. But also, and let me know in the comments if you'd be interested in this, because I'm dying to make a series on this, but I'll only do it if you let me know in the comments. Let me know if you'd be interested in a series on the stories of lottery winners, because it's actually really tragic what happens to lottery winners after they win the lottery. Like, no one really talks about what their lives are like after they come into that massive amount of money. It is very interesting. The psychology behind having a lot of money suddenly come into your life is very fascinating, and it's not what you'd expect. Like, for most people, it's not the amazing experience that you would expect by just having a ton of money flood into your life. But I'm not going to give it all away, so let me know in the comments if you'd be interested. And speaking of comments, I wanted to share a couple of very lovely ones that I got on my videos the last couple of weeks. Thank you all so much for leaving these. I seriously have the nicest community here on YouTube. I've got to say, when I first started this channel about 2 months ago, the number one thing I was most scared of was all the mean commenters that everyone else says, oh, there's lots of mean commenters, or there's trolls or whatever, but they are leaving my channel alone, for which I'm deeply grateful. So I am very thankful to have you all here, because it's just, you just give me that energy and that enthusiasm, and to continue to create content. So thank you so much. So here's a lovely comment from Amy. She says, your voice is so soothing. I love hearing you talk. Thank you, Amy. That's lovely. And Think More says, your skin is so smooth. Amazing. Thank you so much. And let me know also in the comments. I'd be very happy to do my skincare secrets video for you as well, for anyone that's interested in my skincare routine. I have an extremely complicated skincare regimen that's based on French beauty secrets. So if you're interested in that, let me know. I'd be happy to spill the tea on that. And let's see, okay, perfect. So that was the lovely comments that you all left. So again, thank you so much for being part of my channel and for helping me as I'm growing this. Thank you for subscribing and liking and commenting, because what that does is that tells YouTube's algorithm to show this video to more and more people, which then just helps get this message out of unlock your inner millionaire by developing a wealth mindset, by building those finance skills, and helps people really step into their financial power, because finances and money is an area that I think leaves many, many people feeling disempowered, discouraged, and stressed. And I don't want that for you. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being part of what we're doing, and I will see you again soon in my next video.